The unanimous decision of this court is the following: not guilty. Instead, he is found guilty of culpable homicide.
Prosecutor Gerrie Nel and his National Prosecuting Authority colleagues could barely contain their anger when Oscar Pistorius was acquitted of murder. Instead, the Paralympian was found guilty of negligently killing Reeva Steenkamp, so not on purpose, but by accident. Nel will now try to convince Judge Thokozile Masipa that the state should be allowed to take her decision on appeal to the Supreme Court in Bloemfontein. Oscar Pistorius' lawyer Barry Roux will of course argue that her decision was right and just.
This is not a personal decision against the judge or against the defense or anyone or against Pistorius. It's just a question of principle, because we have these mechanisms that if sometimes, not only when you are not happy, but if you are not sure about really what has happened, you then take the matter to the next level.
Prosecution's boss, Nkasana, says the state believes Pistorius must have known that firing 4 shots through a locked door into a tiny toilet cubicle would kill whoever was behind that door. Judge Masipa, however, found that Pistorius did have the intent to shoot at the intruder he thought was behind the toilet door, but she found that he didn't have the intent to kill. Prosecutors also argue that Pistorius' sentence was shockingly light. He could be out of jail after serving 10 months. Pistorius' lawyers say this argument is unfounded and that Reeva Steenkamp's parents have accepted the outcome and are ready to move on.
Satisfied. Yeah. That's right.
Barry, how are you feeling?
Fine, thank you.
Barry, do you think this was adequate?
We're satisfied, Nalini.
Where are you going to go now? Is it time to go home?
Time to go home.
Do you think there's a sense of closure now?
We hope so, yes.
The state cannot challenge any of the factual findings made by Judge Masipa. That means it cannot argue, for instance, that she was incorrect to accept Pistorius' timeline of the shooting. Barry Roux says Judge Masipa made her finding that Oscar Pistorius was guilty of culpable homicide based on the evidence before her, not her interpretation of the law. He says the state can only be given the right to appeal if it can show that the judge was possibly wrong in her interpretation of the law, and it has simply failed to do so. Therefore, he says no appeal should be allowed and her judgment should stand. If Masipa agrees with the state, they will head to Bloemfontein and the Supreme Court of Appeal. If she disagrees, the state can still petition the SCA for the right to appeal. One of South Africa's most epic legal battles, it seems, is still far from over. Karen Morn, Johannesburg.